I think maybe even Dirty Jersey Rat. Dirty Jersey. Yay! I love that song.
But, okay, so I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, were you the co-host that's referenced in Shulie's lawsuit who said something about
yes,
somebody's being a pedophile, somebody's a pedophile?
Yeah,
What?
you can argue I wasn't his co-host and I was just a regular guest or a semi-regular co-host. But I'm the one that made that statement. And if you watch that whole clip, it's very obvious that we were just going all in on them and saying the most extreme things because
you're just bullshitting, right?
But they were also like really messing with my life at that time. And so it was just like, it was kind of like a fuck it. And then I said allegedly a bunch, which I know doesn't like make it all okay. But like the joke is just kind of like, I'm saying the most extreme things about them that I can and all that. But it was out of character for me to make that level of statement. So the next day I posted a tweet like saying just kind of cleaning it up and all that, which was disseminated by multiple shows and they analyzed it and everything like that. So he can he has all of that information in the screenshot of the tweet and everything. So, but I was the one that made that.
Legally, if you come out and you issue a retraction, especially if you do it within at least 7 days, it will mitigate or potentially even eliminate any claim. Now, at what point does Shulie's attorneys realize that they sued the wrong person?
I mean, that is weird. I was like, why did they mention that? Because it sounds weak because this co-host was not a defendant.
Because it's the only statement that like I watched your reaction to it, and like that statement sticks out more than any of the other ones, and so I feel like they had to like cushion that complaint, and they're like, all right, we'll just bust out what the co-host said.
Anything bad. Yeah.
Because John never said anything as direct as what I said in that statement.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting point, Miss Judy, for all of us that have a show. If I say something defamatory right now, could you legally be liable? And the answer is maybe.
Well, I don't think so.
if you were aware prior to that I would say something, or a reasonable person would be aware that I would say something. And you have, like any other negligence claim, you have to have some form of knowledge. Either you knew or you should have known. So a lot of times in the Karen Reed cases, we get these letters from attorneys informing us before a guest comes on that they're going to say something defamatory. That gives the co-host notice in theory. So then the co-host won't have them on the show. The host won't have the co-host on the show. And clearly that wasn't the case with John and Ava. And John's not liable for it. And they should have just easily sued Ava if they believed that was a defamatory statement. But they didn't.
Because they knew that funny. Because they knew that I like retracted it the next day, and because they were saying that they were going to sue. They announced on their show that they were suing me about it, like after my retraction, and then sent my retraction to my place of employment to try to get me fired. And but I think they knew that, and so they were like, well, let's just pile it on with John.
See, Ava, Shulie's a big enough locale where it could be worth milking the guy. The only thing is, I don't think anyone has really much interest in doing it.
In milking which guy?
Shuli as a locale, because there has to be a replacement, right? So if you want to keep the Dabbleverse going and John never comes back, you have to think of who's the biggest locale that we have. And I would say Shulie's the biggest by far.
Same here.
In terms, I can't think of anyone else that would be even almost worth putting the energy, but I have no interest in that.
I'm the same way as you, Vince. I had, to me, that was like something I was hoping would happen about him. But when you watch the way he's handled questions about things like Mensa math and all that, he's just a dead fish.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, to me, it would be interesting on the most niche psychological level to just watch him deal with criticism that he can't control. But no, I don't think it's nothing like a law call has to be much more universal than that. But
and you bring up a great point, because Miss Judy, they block anybody that has any negative comments. So that's why they never grew. That's why they're not going anywhere. And they're breaking a major rule in entertainment. It's like you're looking for any eyeballs. You never block people, especially ones that want to give you money. And then the real problem is you're not sharp. So when you get out into the real world with Phil Russo isn't blocking every comment. You have what Shulie has, and he had no idea how to handle any of the comments. In fact, it'd be very interesting to embrace every single question and answer it. He couldn't do it, and in fact, he's trying to make jokes, and he's just not funny. Like, that's not his thing. Like, comedy is not Shulie's cup of tea, and he can't do it when he's being ridiculed. That's the biggest thing with him, because he's not getting ridiculed on a daily basis.
Judy, seriously, like, that would be the ultimate test, like, if somebody were funny. And there's no better moment than that for him to, like, deflect off of those. And you watch him over and over again, not even have a joke, just not have a joke, just not have a joke, to just him being like, well, what's the right answer? What do you want me to, like, he's not funny. He's just not funny.
Well, yeah, we knew that. And then he's trying to deflect the Mensa question, which we all know what happened. And he's trying to claim that somehow his attorneys advised him not to talk about that issue.
But that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't
have nothing to do with the case at all.
Judy, he was being asked about that before they filed that lawsuit. Like, yeah. And Vince cornered him masterfully about it before we all knew that there were multiple strikes.
Okay. Vince, thanks for funding SJ's attorney. Cappy Ghost sucks. Okay, Vince is.
I really like Cappy's Ghost. I mean, I love his old partners on the force. He quit after like 5 years, according to this guy. The guy that his friend, and his friend actually got shot in the foot at this club. And I only found this out, Ava, because I was at the gym, and I hear him telling Miss Judy that he won't be with me because he's afraid to give any of the information. So it took me like literally 12 minutes before I can call his old partner at that police station, Miss Judy, in Georgia, Georgia. Columbus, Georgia. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna
not there anymore, so who cares? Yeah. Okay, so is it true you're funding John's attorney?
What? I didn't see that last part.
You're the best.
Well, I'll answer.
Is it true you are funding John's attorney?
No.
Well, whatever. Okay. Because, see, I did think, like, maybe he has insurance coverage through homeowners insurance. I don't know. I mean, or could it be pro bono? Yeah.
You have to own a home to have homeowners insurance.
Yeah,
Vince is absolutely representing John.
That little rascal got rid of all his assets when I sued him.
What?
He transferred all his assets away after I sued him, that rascal.
Okay. Well, I hope it's a wise use of your retirement funds. People tried to get you to befriend John's son, who is also trans. Is that true?
Yeah, and they lied about Shulie's knowledge of it. I remember specifically the conversation.
Tell me more. How did it happen?
So I was regularly going on their show, and they'd never, like, Frog had never called me, but we texted throughout the week, every week, and he was always like, come on every week, and then he was like, can I call you? And I was like, uh-oh. And so he called me, and I just remember this because as soon as he said the first, like, sentence in my head, I was like, oh, they're gonna kick me off of the show. It's like, I just got a meeting with everybody from the show. And then he's like, I don't know if you know this, but John's trans son lives in Portland too. And then basically just pitched the idea that I go on a long-term befriending thing to manipulate their kid to get intelligence for them to feed to John. And then he sent me a link to their Instagram and a link to what the address was, but which wasn't the address that I think ended up being John's kid's address. And I handled that by like being like very, very uncomfortable and saying, all right, I'll totally do that. And then knowing in my head I would like get off the phone and then find a way to get out of doing it. So yeah, they asked me to do that, and then I just didn't do anything for months. But then they started phasing me out of their show, and so I brought it up and to see if that's why, and then to no avail. So yeah, they asked me to do that, and then I didn't do it, and then they stopped having me on their show.
Did you go to Greta's house before or after they told you she lived there?
So like and this is part of the reason I realized.
Did you hear my question? Did you go to Greta's house before or after they informed you that she lived there?
I'm not.
That's
I'm
kind
not
of
playing that game
assuming
with you.
that you went there. Did you
Are
actually
you
go
cutting
there?
your nails right now?
No,
Yes, you are.
Before or after?
Show me what's in your hand.
There's nothing in my hand.
Show
He's
me what's in
probably
your.
looking at his cell phone.
No, you can hear it.
Yeah, he's probably
Using
looking
nail
at
clippers.
his phone. Clipping his nails.
I didn't
I
get
never,
the
I never
answer,
went.
though.
I never went to
Yes, you
Greta's house.
did.
No, I don't. No, I didn't. I never. like the whole. This is,
Have you ever driven by Greta's house?
yes,
All right, so you did
but
go there.
I drive by Greta's house every day.
No, I know. I would do the same thing if I was anywhere near Cape Coral.
You
the
sent
first
me a
place-
map that showed how to get to Greta's house from my house.
What do you mean?
You texted me from an anonymous thing.
Oh yeah, Miss Judy. She's got. There's another one. Miss Judy has that same thing. You, the Vince derangement syndrome. I have no idea what your cell phone number is. I'd never text you from any anonymous number. Never communicated you at all.
There's
via
a
text
video.
message.
There's a video where I'm on the show with Vince. What, are you gonna sue me for saying this? Or-
No, I don't care. It's just lame. Unless you have proof of something, it's like lame to start claiming that I did it. So somebody texts
You want to watch the clip? There's a video.
A clip means nothing. If you have proof, then show it. If you don't, then move on because it's
This
boring.
is it, but this is how he gets away with everything, Judy. It's like he knows
Okay.
how to cover
I'm saying if
you're
you have
saying-
proof, show
Okay,
it.
well, get back on
Not a
track
clip
with
of people's.
the
Yeah, so you went to
question-
Greta's house. Now, one thing I want to know is how did she get that money to buy that house?
Let me clear this up. Like, no. Going to like driving by Greta's house is completely separate from what we were just talking about with Shulie. When like 6-7 months later from that whole thing, John comes back, and when he comes back, the whole chat is flooded with John's trans kid's address. It's just, and if you look at that address, it's almost the same address as my. We live in the same street, and there's only 2 numbers different. So somebody, Quad, sent me a message being like, "You're being doxxed right now," and so I just saw this address, and then eventually I was like, "Oh, that's John's kid's address," and then it was like, "Oh, I live right next to John's kid,"
crazy.
and then it became, and in my head I was like, "Oh, that's that house," because I drive by it to get like cigarettes every day.
Did you ever see her or Knight outside the house?
No. But the reason everybody knows this is because I pointed this out on John's show, because on our street it's like all like people with their gardens and things like that, and it's the one house that just looks like it's a crime scene because there's like no trespassing signs and cameras everywhere. And I was trying to illustrate how fucked up it is that people have messed with John's kid to the point where that's what their house looks like. And then Shulie and all them just turned that around into I was stalking John's kid and driving by there.
That's funny.
That's the kind of thing where it's
but
like they're
are you
live
sure
right.
that? How would a fan even bother them? I don't think that they would.
Well, I don't know what you've done to them, Vince,
No, I'm
but
just saying. Like, I don't think that anyone ever bother Greta and Knight.
you don't think that?
No, I really don't. I really don't. Like, because look, John's house is wide open. No one's really done anything to that house. No, seriously. Like, no one's ever like harmed him or anything.
I don't know. I'm not saying that somebody like tried to assault John's kid. I'm saying that they've clearly been harassed to the point where they have to put those signs out there so people don't mess with them. And
I think that just runs in the Melendez family. They love putting out those signs. No trespassing, Miss Judy. No para
they
nada,
did,
whatever
they
you
did a
said.
much more professional job than, from my understanding, what it's like in front of John's house, where it's just like a Sharpie. Like,
So, but Ava, if you were supposed to befriend this person, what was the plan? Like, how do you even befriend someone
is
just
what-
because they live down the street? Were you supposed to walk a dog by them every day, hoping to bump into them?
well, at the time that this happened, none of us knew that they lived on my street, because whatever address Frog sent was like somewhere not on my street, because I just would have remembered that. But I think they wanted me to like go to whatever areas. Like, this is how dopey they are, and I wanted to say this when you started defending them a bunch, Judy. It was just like the level of like depravity here and just idiocy, where he's just like, "Oh, Ava's trans, so Ava, then they'll be friends because the John's kid is trans," and then
Well, that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Well, if you
I-
lived in the same neighborhood, but I'm just wondering, like, in this day and age, how do you even make friends with a complete stranger,
That's
who lives
part-
down the street? I don't even know my neighbors really. So-
Right, and again, to be clear, it wasn't that they thought that we were in the same neighborhood. It's just that we're both in Portland, Oregon, and we're both trans, So therefore you should go find wherever this person hangs out across town, and then because you're trans, they'll just suddenly let you into their life, and then you can give us information about John.
Yeah,
That sounds
like,
almost as funny as the Kumia prank.
Which is a long-term job. And
maybe there's
it's a
like
demented.
a club. Is there some like club where trans people tend to congregate, or a community center?
I think there's like two. If you just like look at what people describe as the LGBTQ people, there's either people that like it's their identity and that's what they do socially and what they define themselves by. But there's like a whole world of trans people that are like me that just don't. I've never been to a parade or like I just live my life and don't like. You know what I mean? I don't have any trans friends. No,
Yeah,
I don't even have any trans friends. Like I don't.
The gay guys.
I don't know any trans people.
Strange. Oh.
Gay guys don't like trans people, like the actual gays, like the real homos. They dislike.
That's what I heard.
Well, that's the other thing is like
Yeah.
a trans man. If you even want to get into the nitpicky of just how stupid what he said is like the idea that a trans man and a trans woman would just immediately become friends because they're both trans in Portland.
Yeah, like in Sex in the City when they try and hook up two gay people. A lot of straight people, they're like, oh, you're gay and he's gay. They must like each other. And gays hate that. Like if you actually try and connect two people that just because they're both gay.
They might appreciate it. You know, it could be a hookup.
So you don't think it's stupid what they asked me to do?
I'm not even sure what they did,
It's kind of weird because it's like, how long? I mean, what's the point? And how were you really supposed to befriend someone? Plus, you would have to betray that person. So that's just really mean-spirited.
That's why I always frame it as like long-term manipulation, because when you look at the mechanics of what, like if I were to actually do that, like that would be a psychotic thing to take part in, because I'd just be manipulating them every day, knowing that. And then, which you'd have to establish a trust over time, because these people probably would be skeptical. It would just like, it's an insane proposition, and he was serious, like seriously trying to get me to do it.
Look who you're taking instructions from.
Well, I didn't
Phil
take
Russo
the instructions,
and Shuli Egar. What
for
did
me,
you expect
it
this
was,
to be?
For me, I was just like, oh, they were just having me on the show because they wanted me to do this, and so I was like, but you know, I got over it. And
Yeah, I mean,
were they
you didn't do it, so what's
going
the
to
difference?
pay you for all this time and effort?
You know, that's a good question. No, they didn't offer money or anything.
Oh, it's just for kicks, for fun.
You can make a Jew joke, Ava. I won't be offended.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of inherently mean-spirited. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Play around with people like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And at that time, they were still like trying to act like they were above that kind of behavior. So for me, it was also like, oh, okay, because I just hadn't been in the Dabbleverse that long. I'd only been there for a few months, so I kind of believed him and Carl that they would never do something like that. I understand that they would let other people do it and then show it on their show, but to have been asked to do that, it was just like, oh, these are real scumbags. But I still went on their show after, and I can be judged for that.
Yeah, I don't think Carl would have anything to do with something like that.
I don't either. I think there's a big difference between those two. I don't know if do you recognize that, Judy?
Between Carl and Shuli, I don't know them well enough. You know, it's just like very short little YouTube shows, and that's it. Although I did ask Shuli if he would like to come back to react to something from a true crime case, and haven't heard from him, but maybe he's annoyed because Vince is constantly on my channel and bashing him. So, which is sad, because I saw some really old footage from Dabbletown, USA, and it seemed like you guys were buddies.
I think
ages
that
ago.
He's a very, very sensitive, like weak little worm, and I think that when you guys came out just
I'm sitting right here, Ava.
that when you guys made those reviews of the lawsuit, I do think that really affected him and bummed him out and started the process of, and it wasn't like you weren't being charitable, but just you were like, this isn't some slam dunk. You're assessing, you're just assessing the complaint. And I think that he started retreating and probably wouldn't be a guest on your show after something like that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like exactly what happened. We weren't friends, but we knew each other. I mean, I represented him a few times in ancillary things, nothing to do with the Dabbleverse. I'm not sure exactly what point, because I stopped watching at all. I had no idea who Issa was. So there was 2 years where he was doing whatever he was doing that I didn't know. I didn't even talk to him privately. I'm not sure where it went wrong, Miss Judy, but he'll survive. I'll survive by not interacting. But we can interact. I don't think there would be an issue. Shuli wouldn't have any problem being on a show with me, he wouldn't want to do it, but he would do it.
I never knew what was going on with you guys because I know that you were always in group text with Carl,
Yeah,
so I didn't know if you were
still
also.
am.
I don't know if you're in group text with Shulie, but
Yeah.
so that's real. He just hates you.
Yeah, I mean, he never responds. I mean, most people don't. It's just me usually making fun of, Carl or.
How do you
someone in
feel
the group.
about those clips that have surfaced where you? Because I wasn't here during this, but around the time of ESO, where they're basically implying that you and John were blackmailing ESO to get information on their finances.
I was completely indifferent. I wasn't upset about it. It was weird that they did it, but it didn't bother me one way or another. But you have to understand who you're dealing with. This is what I try to explain to Miss Judy. She's used to dealing with intellectuals and not these types of guys. They think that by trying to manipulate the scenario in such a weird way that it will deflect from the fact that Shulie had one friend, and his one friend is a pedophile. And that's it. I don't know of any other friends that he has. I never saw him hang out with anyone privately, just one guy.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
I mean, you make it sound like guilt by association, but how many of us even talk to our friends about what kind of porn they like to watch, or what their sexual predilections are?
I have a best friend. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean it.
No,
Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Show me your
but
friends,
a
I'll
lot
show
of
you your
these-
future, Miss
a lot of
Judy.
these,
You don't understand
kitty-
what.
A lot of
Show
these
me your
kitty
friends, I'll show you your
molesters,
future.
They're very good at acting normal. They seem like nice, normal people. So
Come
it
here, Miss
doesn't
Judy.
mean, no, will you stop it? I mean, that's very condescending because it is true. A lot of these abusers, the people who are into kitty corn, you can't tell. They're
Miss
good
Judy,
They're
they
not going to
met
come
in
out
a
and be like,
kid's
hey, guys, look at
We
my
heard that
collection.
argument. We heard it. They met in a kid's chat room. They played video games with little kids together. This
That
isn't
doesn't
something
mean
that's
you want to diddle them.
But Miss
Jeez.
Judy, you tell me one adult that has the same situation. You're making the argument that he had no idea that this could be a possibility. These two spent their nights getting high and going into chat rooms with little kids and then sexually assaulting them with their words, sexually harassing the kids. No, Alba, if you tell a little kid
on.
you're
You're
gay,
trying to
no,
get
I'm seriously,
guilt.
a 10-year-old calling a
trying to get
10-year-old
sued.
gay and betting with them. That is harassment. It's sexual harassment of a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old. Shuli said there was kids that are younger. That's what those two did. This was not something that was out of the work. Now, if you told me all of a sudden Casey Armstrong, my good friend, had some issue with that, yeah, I would say yeah, because I wouldn't know. But if him and I hung out in little kids' chat rooms and thought it was so cool that we would post it online, thinking that it's cool to be chatting with a 10-year-old, yeah, he should have known. I'm not saying he did know. I never said that. I said he should have known.
His friend has got this gigantic collection of kitty corn. I don't think so. So this is why I think
It's not out of the realm of possibilities, Miss Judy.
much.
It's more unlikely that he's a track star, right? They didn't run track together. They spent their nights getting high, communicating with little kids online. You tell me what's more likely.
Well, that is weird, but it doesn't automatically translate to him knowing that his friend is all.
Oh, yeah? How about you let your 10-year-old go into a chat room with those two 40? I'm being serious. What would you do? It's a
been
serious
hour and a
issue.
half. You just keep saying the same thing.
No, Miss
so
Judy, what would you do
whatever.
if your 10-year-old is doing that? You make a joke of it? I mean, there's
No, I would
many
say
victims that
you
are there.
Stop doing this because these are
Why?
weird adults. Because real, normal adults don't play whatever it could have been, like computer games with 10-year-olds.
If
You just
Yeah.
answered your own
Same with
question.
Roblox. Yeah,
Judy-
same with Roblox. Sometimes there are adults that are masquerading as kids on it, so you want your kids to be safe.
Judy, if zooming out from what Vince said, which I'm not gonna respond to, but do you not trust your own intuition with someone you'd consider to be a best friend on something like that?
Well, it's hard to say because, like I said before, my own brother-in-law turned out to be doing white-collar crimes. We had no idea.
That's a little different though, is it not?
Yeah,
but
at least that's
People
cool.
could be doing normal stuff and you don't know because
That's fair.
you're
That's
not
fair.
watching them constantly. Does that mean you're guilty just because you were friends with them? Or
If
you
you're
went to
if you're spending every night in a white crime white collar crime website and only talking to white collar criminals. Yeah. And that's what you have, Miss Judy. Why wouldn't you allow your kids to associate with someone like Shulie and Issa when they were tag teaming together, all these young kids?
Well, I think you're kind of stretching things to try to make Shulie look bad because you have some.
I don't
big
have to do
bone
that at all.
pick.
I never have to make
no one
Shulie
has
look
stretched.
bad, Miss Judy. Ever. I don't want to make Shulie look bad. I mean, it sort of makes me look bad that I associated with him at some point. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. He had one friend, Isolino Presuto.
That's why nobody wants to be your friend anymore once they find out what you're like. So, yeah. So, Ava, any parting words? Thank you so much for being here and being willing to be on with both of us.
Absolutely, I love you both.